Hi, everyone. Angela Alston here, and I want to welcome you to another Astro Highlights. We're going to be looking at this week, the week of January 7th through the 13th of 2024. I always think January is such a special month, kind of it's the beginning of a path that this year is going to bring us on. And so much happens in a year, and we're just at the very beginning. There's so much to come and so much to experience and to work through and grow. It's a really exciting time of year, I think. Um, Anyway, there's a narrative activity up on my blog at AngelaAlstonAstrology.com. And this narrative creative writing activity is for Capricorn season, and it is remembering who values you. So head over there if that's of any interest to you. And if you want, feel free to send me. Some people do some of the things that they write during that. I always love to read it. And so this is what the planets are doing this week. I'll kind of go through this fairly quickly. The sun's in Capricorn. It's at 16, starting the week at 16:29, ending it at 23:37. We have a new moon in Capricorn, and I don't always talk about new moons and full moons and moon cycles. Sometimes I do. It really depends what else is happening with the moon, because the moon can move so quickly. Sometimes it's not that impactful. However, new moons usually are, because they're setting the template for the next couple weeks. This new moon is particularly impactful, and we'll talk about why. Mercury is in Sagittarius at the beginning of the week, 23:58, and ends the week at 14 Capricorn. So that's 0 degree, 14 Capricorn at the Aries point. Venus is in Sagittarius, 10 degrees, 20 minutes to 18 degrees, 54 minutes. Mars is in Capricorn, enigmatic Capricorn, 2 degrees, 1 minute to 7 degrees, 15 minutes. Jupiter is in Taurus, moving direct now, still in its shadow phase, where I think it'll be until about March, but it is now moving direct, and this is such a blessing. And it's beginning the week at 5:40 and ending at 5:55. And then Saturn is also direct in Pisces. It's been for a couple weeks now, beginning the week at 3:49 and ending the week at 4:31. And if you'll see, all of our kind of main planets, with the exclusion of the outer planets, but the main 7 are all moving direct now. And this is the first time that's happened in half a year, at least, many, many, many months. So some things to talk about this week. One, the new moon in Capricorn, and then the sun trining Uranus, Mars trining Jupiter, Mercury still squaring Neptune at the beginning and moving into the week, but then entering Capricorn, and the fog is lifted. And then the sun squaring the nodes. That's happening this week, along with the moon squaring the nodes. They're at the bending of the nodes. And then we're going to hit on what's lucky this week, what's happening with some of our luck asteroids. So lots to talk about, so let's get into it. The new moon in Capricorn at 20 degrees, 44 minutes Capricorn. So Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces right now. And Pisces answers to Jupiter. So we have new moon in Capricorn. This is a seeding time. Every new moon is a seeding time. People who do sort of moon rituals or follow lunar time, this is a time to plant some intentions in your life. The moon traditionally is not seen as very, I don't want to say effective, but the moon is ruled by Cancer, and Capricorn is the opposite of Cancer. And so the moon is in a place where it is not in its own home. It's not in its own mansion. Moon in Capricorn can sometimes feel, especially if you were born with it. I've had a few clients share this, and it's just kind of interesting. They felt like they had to grow up very early in their life. For some, it was very natural, and for others, it was a little bit more challenging. But they kind of skipped that childhood period in a way. Anyway, enough about that. This new moon, there are 3 things that make it particularly juiced. One, it's trine Uranus. When the moon is trine Uranus, there is an energetic channel that is open for surprising growth. Emotional insights. Uranus is the great awakener. And when it's connected with our lunar nature, a lot of that has to be about a lot of that is about understanding our true selves, what we're here to do as lunar beings. You know, we talk a lot about our hero's journey, and that's the solar aspect, but we also have a lunar journey. New moon trine Uranus can help you understand parts of your sort of emotional puzzle in a way that can be very enlightening. You know, the thing with Uranus, and I've said this before, but the thing with Uranus is what you learn during a planetary connection to Uranus, you never forget it. It's paradigm changing. And so this new moon is seeding a period where that energetic trine is in place. It's kind of the template of this new moon. And so we have that, which can be very exciting. Trines tend to be positive in nature, benefic in nature. I believe they're ruled by Venus. And so we can hope that the awakenings that Uranus offers us are beneficial, are pleasant. Uranus can be very, very tough sometimes, as we all know. The other thing that is remarkable, I would say, about this new moon, particularly happening in January, at the beginning of the year, is that it's squaring the lunar nodes. And the sun is as well. And this is really offering us an opportunity for some karmic shifts. When something, the sun or the moon, when one of the luminaries is squaring the lunar nodes, we call it at the bendings. So when it's when they're at the bendings, the idea is that we are faced with a crisis, right? Squares are crisis, and not in a negative way, but they're things that have to be resolved. You can't ignore a square, and they don't feel good. But what is good is that they can be creatively resolved. It takes effort, it takes action, it takes intention, but it's not the same as an opposition where, this and this are at a detente. They are kind of looking at each other across a wide spectrum of experiences, and they are not going to meet in the middle. Squares, while they don't exactly meet in the middle, growth and change are what's on offer with a square. It's not that it's just possible, it's what the universe is offering. However, you have to do the work. And a lunar node square, and I find this so interesting, it offers you the opportunity for a do-over in your particular life story. There's something, and we all have them, blocks to our personal growth. And when we have a luminary squaring the node, that block comes up again in our current life. Probably a new person, a new scenario, but still the same underlying structure. And we are given another chance to resolve this situation, to do the right thing, whatever that means in this context, and to level up as people. And it's, these situations, some people will say, why do I keep encountering, XYZ in my life? Well, it's because you haven't learned the lessons yet. Right? Once you learn the lessons, the universe gives you new things to encounter. But until you learn the lessons and do the thing that you need to do, you will find these very difficult patterns, and they will feel challenging. They can block your personal growth, and it can really feel like you are stuck in some loop from the past. And you are, until you get unstuck. And this period during this new moon is an opportunity to get unstuck. And then also during this new moon, Mars is trining Jupiter. And Mars and Jupiter, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but it really gives your actions some impact. So I hope, looking at this all together, this seeding period, there's an opportunity here for surprise growth and an opportunity to kind of break free from something which has been limiting you, holding you at a certain level in your evolutionary path. You have an opportunity now to try it again. So that's really cool. And if you're born with Aries rising, this incredible seeding opportunity is happening in your 10th house. Your 10th house of perhaps career, of public persona, how you are out in the world. And if you're a Taurus rising, it's in your 9th house. So the challenge might be around your worldviews, your big picture ideas, your philosophical and political leanings. It could be around higher learning. or something that is really distant from you, far away, something that is kind of foreign. It could involve travel. If you're a Gemini rising, this seeding moment is happening in your 8th house. And your 8th house is karmic bonds, what you truly owe to someone else and what they truly owe to you. And you can never escape, right? You never escape your 8th house. And so this is an opportunity. This seeding in the 8th house is an opportunity to really kind of let go of what might have been feeling like some heavy baggage. If you're a Cancer rising, it's in your 7th house. And 7th house is relationships. It's also open enemies. Right? Those people in your life that you just know you are not seeing eye to eye with. And it's also the house of opportunities. You don't often talk about that, but it's relationships, open enemies, and opportunities. Leo rising, it's in your 6th house. You know, this could have something to do with the work that you do, with your day-to-day kind of grind, and with the patterns that you create for yourself. Virgo rising, it's in the 5th house. This is the house of creativity, the house of children, the house of entrepreneurship. Libra rising, it's in your 4th house. And that's your foundation. You know, what is at your very essential base of you, who you are. 4th house is where nobody else can really see it, but it is who you are fundamentally. We often consider it related to your family. Scorpio rising, it's your 3rd house, your neighborhood, your siblings, and the way that you communicate, the messages that you consciously and unconsciously give to the world and also receive from the world. Sagittarius rising, it's in your 2nd house. We often call the 2nd house your money house, right? It's your house of resources, although resources goes far beyond money. Your personal resources, also your personal power, and your values. You know, who you are, what you believe, what you stand for. If you're a Capricorn rising, this beautiful seeding is happening in your 1st house, your house of self, your house of vitality, your house of health. If you're Aquarius rising, like me, this is happening in your 12th house. And that is the house of things that are in some ways lost to you. Things that are in your superconscious, your subconscious. It's also the house of hidden enemies and self-undoing. And so getting some good karma happening in that house. I'm looking forward to it. Pisces. If you're a Pisces rising, the new moon in Capricorn is seeding your 11th house. This is your house of friends, of allies, of networks, and also your hopes and dreams. What do you want, really, really, really want in the bottom of your heart? The seeding opportunity is happening. 11th house seeds can just bloom into wonderful things because they often don't just impact you. They impact those who share community with you. So that's wonderful. Sun and moon trine Uranus. Talked about this a little bit already. I just want to kind of hit on a couple other points. So this week, the sun is trining Uranus and the moon will be moving into that as well. Now the sun trine Uranus, it's again, it's about awakenings. Right? It's about sometimes surprise awakenings or surprise events, visits, people, messages, synchronicities that lead to a new way of seeing, new perspectives. This is a time when you can change, right? You're not stuck. And sometimes, in fact, when Uranus comes and connects with the luminaries, change isn't whether you want to or not. Like, this is the time when change is going to be happening. And so again, with the trine, we're hoping for positive things here. And so it's kind of positive disruptions to your status quo, whatever your status quo is. As much as it is awakening, it can also be very liberating. This may be a time where you feel more empowered to express who you are authentically, to express who you are outside of the herd or the group or your family or your belief system. Uranus really supports people and energy that is about showing your uniqueness. There are so many ways, and it's a very, positive thing to think of us as we're all the same, and there's a collective experience to being a human being that we all share. And in some ways, that's very true. What's also true is that we are each beautiful little unicorns. We are here now on this earth, and there is nobody that is you except you. And there never will be, and there never has been. And this is a time that really helps you kind of step into that understanding. You are unique. You are here for a purpose. And having to fit in, that's not the vibe right now. It's really listening to who you are, your gut, your mind, your heart, your voice. And then along with that, we have Mars trine Jupiter. Now, Mars is in Capricorn. We talked about that last week. Very effective in Capricorn. One of the things, one of the key words, key phrases I always think of with Mars in Capricorn is that you can do hard things. There is no mountain high enough that a Mars in Capricorn can't and won't climb. It might not be pretty, it might not be fast, and it's certainly not going to be easy, but Mars in Capricorn can get it done. And now we have that kind of effective action in the world, trining Jupiter, right? The greater benefic. And so this can be almost narcotic because you feel strong. It is a super supportive energetic channel. Mars in Capricorn, which is already very effective and strong, gets that boost from Jupiter. And Jupiter is, you can go even higher. You can go even farther. Mars, we sometimes call Mars the right hand. That was my left hand, but we sometimes call Mars the right hand of the sun. And Mars has a lot to do with your ego and how you show your Mars, how you relate to your Mars. It can really kind of speak to how you show up in the world. And so this is also an energy boost, an energetic boost to your self-confidence. And the bright side of Mars trine Jupiter is that your efforts, what you do put forth, it will be boosted, right? It'll go a little bit farther. What you do during this time will have impact. The sunny side is that there is a sense that anything is possible, that you are strong, you are capable, you are brave. And of course, there's always, if there's going to be sun, there's going to be shadow, right? The shadow side is a little bit too much of that. It can be a bit of overdoing it. Injuries can happen during Mars trine Jupiter because there can be taking too much on. There can be an unrealistic appraisal of limits. And you can also come on a little bit too strong during this time. It can almost be like puppy energy, you know, but it's just a little too intense. It's big. It's big. It's like bringing a, you know, what did I say here? Oh, using a machete to cut butter. Like, this is a powerful time. You don't have to have all the engines going when you're interacting with, you know, everybody. But on the other hand, we're all going to be experiencing this. You know, those who have planets that are impacted, you know, more by these degrees will feel it a little bit more. But this is a channel that is here for all of us this week. So I hope that you really have some fun. Mars trine Jupiter tends to be, well, Jupiter tends to be a very optimistic, you know, buoyant, hopeful, looking at the big picture and looking at it in with kind eyes. We still have Mercury in Sag at the beginning of the week, and it's squaring Neptune. This has been going, you know, on for a little while. Started, I think, at the end of last week. Mercury square Neptune has a lot of very positive things. It can open up real empathy. And in fact, that would be one of the things that I would say is probably the strongest attribute of Mercury square Neptune, which I have natally, is that it really does open empathetic channels. It can also be a very creative time, a very creative channel that gets opened. You know, things when Mercury is squaring Neptune, you understand that things aren't quite as linear, right, as material reality might present them as, that there are layers. There are things that are unseen. You understand the reality of mystery. However, there is also, you know, the over-promising, and especially when Mercury is in Sagittarius, right? You have some issues with the truth that are not coming from necessarily a negative, I want to deceive, or I'm going to consciously lie. It's more about, with Mercury in Sagittarius squaring Neptune, kind of hopeful speculation, not seeing a situation clearly, projecting your own thoughts and fears onto others. And there's also, and this really kind of shows up at work, there can be this faith that details will take care of themselves. Neptune does not always, you know, love details. It's not the planet that really deals with them effectively. Neptune has a tendency to dissolve, you know, dissolve boundaries, dissolve hard things, create more softness. But I'll tell you something, details don't take care of themselves. Trust me on that. And there can be this, and so there can be this confidence, this almost overconfidence in a benevolence in the universe, that may or may not exist. Communication is challenging when Mercury is square Neptune, but what's so funny about this is that you might not be aware that it's actually challenging, because it's not challenging in the way that like Mercury square Pluto or Mars. It's not challenging in that you're going to be having a fight. It's more the communication was not as clear to both parties as it felt in the moment. And so you'll leave and realize you're not totally sure what was said, or leave with very different understandings of what was said. So that's this week again. However, at the end of the week, and I consider this extraordinarily good news. I am a big fan of Mercury in Capricorn. At the end of the week, Mercury enters Capricorn. And trust me, when that happens, the fog lifts. Capricorn sees things squarely as they are. There's not a lot of embellishment. There's not a lot of magic. There's not a lot of dissolving of reality. After the Mercury, and we just had Mars square Neptune as well, I think this is a real gift. Mercury in Capricorn, much like Mars, in Capricorn, Mercury in Capricorn can really get some heavy mental work done. It also has a tendency of listening very carefully and asking for clarification where clarification is needed. Mercury in Capricorn is really looking to understand the limits, clear boundaries around what's being said and what's being intended. Natally, and I have found this so fascinating in the people that I've known and my clients, natally, Mercury in Capricorn can show up into, diametrically opposed ways. Mercury Capricorn can be very chatty, very, very verbal. However, I've noticed that it's not using words, Mercury in Capricorn, it's not using words so much to create an emotional bridge, the way a lot of Mercuries will use language and communication. You talk so that others can really know you and understand you, and you communication creates a bridge between two people. When Mercury is in Capricorn and it's very chatty, it's more about creating a shield. It's not about here's to get to know me better. It's like throwing up this barrage of words, and people often don't see through that, can't see through that. It's fascinating. And then the other extreme is Mercury in Capricorn can be extremely taciturn, almost to the point of like Mercury in Scorpio. Like it's as if you need to know type of thing. There can be a gloominess, a mental heaviness. A lot of people that I've worked with who have Mercury in Capricorn have had tendencies towards sort of depressive thoughts. Capricorn prides itself on being the realist. It speaks with Mercury in Capricorn tends to speak with gravitas. Yeah, and they only really tend to talk when they know what they're talking about. And it's one of the reasons that Mercury in Capricorn often can command the room when they actually do start to talk. because they do speak from a place of experience and authority. Mercury in Capricorn really supports systems thinking, right? Understands impacts, understands upstream and downstream, and how parts in a whole interrelate. And it can also be an incredible storyteller. You know, this is one of my favorite aspects of Mercury in Capricorn. It's a really great storyteller, and the stories often are self-effacing, very funny. You know, it's Mercury in Capricorn's very funny. It's that sort of dry, worldly sense of humor. But this is a wonderful thing for all of us, whether you have it natally or not. Mercury is leaving Sagittarius, where it is very hopeful and buoyant and positive and perhaps a little scattered and sometimes unrealistic, to Capricorn, where it is incredibly realistic. You know, this is a great to be having this in January, because Mercury in Capricorn can really plan. And so planning some of your workouts for your workout for the year, planning whatever you need to plan. I'm not going to make a list of things that you can plan. That could go on forever. And now the sun squares the nodes. I had mentioned before that the moon at the new moon is squaring the nodes. Well, the sun is squaring the nodes almost all week. And again, this is about karmic shifts. Squares invite crisis. They invite action. And this is an important time. It's a portal time for readjustments, for trying again, right? This is, some astrologers refer to this as the skip steps. When the sun is at the bending of the nodes, it's when you have to face what you were not able to successfully manage in the past. And here it comes again, and you have a chance to approach it in a new way. And that sun trine Uranus and moon trine Uranus might really help with approaching it in a new way, whatever your kind of personal block or challenge is. But I do want to say these cosmic do-over periods can be very challenging. They can be challenging to your ego, because there's a reason why you weren't able to successfully manage it before. And you don't want to discount that. And it's not, there were reasons why. And so this is a testing period to see if you have learned the lessons, if you have grown in the ways that you need to grow. And as we all know, growing is one of those words that sounds great, but it's actually very, very difficult to do. And it's not a one and done, right? It's a process, and it involves a lot of pain. So with that, what is lucky this week, right? That's my focus for 2024. Where is luck happening in the chart? Well, Taisha is at the Aries point. She's at 0 Cancer. By the end of the week, she's at 0 Cancer. Aries points are turning points. Taisha is the goddess of luck, chance, fortune. And so she's at a powerful point. If you have planets at Aries points. They would be cardinal planets. This would be something that would really be speaking to you. And cardinal planets being Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Champion is conjunct Saturn. We see this right down here. And bonus is also conjunct Saturn. And so Saturn is kind of sitting on a pile of gold. I mean, of some really good things. Bonus, it's one of those energies, it's an asteroid, but it's one of those energies that makes you feel like you have more of something, like you have been given an extra serving, and that you have enough of whatever this is to share it with others. And so bonus is at 4 degrees Pisces right now. And what's really nice, and I mean really, really nice, is that it is the focal point of a minor grand trine or small talent triangle with Jupiter at 5 degrees Taurus and with Mars at 2 degrees Capricorn. So bonus is in conversation with Jupiter and Mars. And so Jupiter expanding, right? And Mars, the actions that you take. You know, the actions that you take will help expand this area where you have been given more than enough. And I really don't know what that is, you know, for you. Pisces for me falls in my first house. This falls very close to my Mercury. And I've been kind of thinking about that. You know, I'm a writer, and so that makes a lot of sense for me. Moving on, we have blessing, the asteroid blessing, which is 1 degree past, a little less than 1 degree, but past the south node. And we had talked about this last week because it was coming right up onto the south node. And these tend to be things that come, really positive things that cross the south node. They tend to be kind of blessings from the past. So karmic payoff. And karma is not always a bitch. You know, I have to say that over and over because sometimes karma is just absolutely beautiful. It really depends on how you've lived your life. But blessings from the past. And then Venus is conjunct abundantia. Abundantia. I don't even know how you say it. It's abundance. It's the asteroid that rules abundance. And Venus is exactly conjuncted at 10 degrees Sagittarius this week. So whatever Venus is bringing into your life, there could be a whole lot of it. And of course, this is only relevant to you if Venus at 10 degrees Sagittarius is doing anything with you or for you when it comes to your chart. And to know that, you look at your planets and you look and see what degree they're at and what the relationship. You know, some people, 10 degrees Sagittarius is absolutely nothing. You know, for me, it is exactly square my Mercury. And so I have abundance and Venus right there. And if you ever want to kind of work through how some of these asteroids or any of the planets are interacting with your personal natal chart, please contact me. I'm happy to do that. So to recap, We have a powerful new moon in Capricorn. And then we have the sun and this new moon trining Uranus. We have Mars trining Jupiter. I'm so excited for that. Mercury squares Neptune still this week, but then, oh, Mercury enters Capricorn and the fog is lifted. Clear-sighted vision and communication is right around the corner. The sun is squaring the nodes, and so is the new moon. But the sun is squaring the nodes almost all week. And so it's a time and opportunity to do the thing you need to do to move to the next level in your life and in your evolutionary development. And only you will know what that is. There is no generalization around that. And then bonus is the focal point of a minor grand trine with Mars and Jupiter. And since it's sitting right there with Saturn, we know that whatever it is that you have been feeling or that you have in excess, that you've really been gifted with at this 4 degrees Pisces point, you've earned it. Right? Anything that has that close relationship to Saturn. Saturn is also a kingmaker. Whatever is in positive relationship to Saturn, you know that there's a realness to it. It's yours, you've earned it, and nobody can take that away from you. So I had mentioned this last week. I am doing a new offering. It's a new reading. It's a reading which I have designed to help you uncover what your luck profile looks like. Some people come to me for readings and they'll say things like, I'm not a lucky person, or I'm not as lucky as my sister, or, good things never really happen to me. And it's just not true. It might feel true, but everybody has luck and the potential for really bounteous abundance in their life, in their chart. It's really how we work with it and how we block or unblock it. And so this reading looks at asteroids like Taisha, Fortune, Blessing, Abundantia. I don't think that was right either. Abundance, and others. And it will help you get an understanding for how luck, chance, fortune, and abundance manifests in your life in general. And by transit, what's being activated this year for you. Because luck shows up differently for everyone, every day. Finally, thank you. Thank you for using astrology as a tool for understanding yourselves and our world. And with that, I'm going to say good night. See you next week, and I hope you have an absolutely fabulous week.